Professor. This is Jacqueline. I'm here to present my final case study. So within the case study that you've given me, my program has a history of providing direct services to representatives within my community that are multicultural, multi-ethnic population between low and moderate working class background. So the agency that I'm already a part of specializes already in treating behavioral health problems to individuals and families within children, adolescents, um, and adults. But the problem within our agency is that we are not meeting the need of our community with the growing alcohol and substance use treatment. So within the last 3 years, there has been an increase in opiate and drug-related deaths within my community. We've tried to refer our clients, but they have gotten a lot of problems. So I think from that point on, we are allotted a grant of any type of amount of money so that we could address this issue. So first, I would like to talk about addiction. So addiction is a chronic medical brain disease driven significantly by genetic vulnerability. So within that term, I got this from Erickson. That alone, the definition of addiction alone, makes it very clear that those that are dependent on drugs, it is surpassing a choice, and now their bodies are physically dependent on the drug and needs medical, clinical, and therapeutic intervention. And if not addressed properly, this could lead to major psychological and social problems. Psychological problems could be depression and anxiety. Social problems could be not being able to handle their finances, having marital problems, not being able to take care of their children, depending on the client, depending on their age. It just would disrupt their personal relationships and their job relationships. And in turn, that would really spiral down to their way of life. And on some occasions, death. So within my community, we need to address the opioid and drug-related deaths that are happening. And the goal of the program is to just support, treat, and rebuild individuals and families one step at a time. I think this goal is very simple. I think within this goal, it is more of the foundation of the addiction recovery program and probably the foundation of the agency that I'm a part of. I think within this goal, we are able to be flexible and just build upon this foundation depending on the needs of the client. So currently, I would like to address the strengths of the agency that I'm already a part of. We do have people that are specialized in treating behavioral health for the individuals, families, children, and adolescents. I think we already have experience in counseling through intensive education, reflection, guiding. We're not uncomfortable with addressing behavioral issues, and we are comfortable with addressing a variety of age groups and a variety of ethnicities. And I think an agency that is already multicultural, multi-ethnic, we would just need to add the medical side of it that addresses the addiction that I was talking about. So I came up with just a 4-step plan. They don't need to be in order, but I think we would need to add these 4 things, and this is where I would use the money for. So I would incorporate a medical team into the program. So I think that would allot a lot of the money that is given because it is going to be more of the, providing income for my workers. Then I would have, within the team that I have already, I would train my therapeutic team even further. But ideally, what I would like is my therapeutic team and my medical team to be trained together. I would utilize the medical team And ideally, they would be specialized and familiar with opioid and drug use, and that they would be able to educate the therapeutic team. And on the flip side, I would also want my therapeutic team to be able to educate the medical team on the community, on the behaviors that they have seen, the behaviors that they should be aware of, certain things, certain screenings, certain assessments that they should be familiar of, just so that there is an alliance between the two teams instead of a division. I also put fund certification courses. So I think within the money that's allotted to me, I would like my therapeutic team to be specialized in specific interventions. It's stated in a textbook that there needs to be, for family groups to be a part, we would need to be certified in family groups. There's also DBT, the one that we discussed at class, in our discussion together. I would like, and within the people that I've interviewed within the semester, they are familiar with DBT, CBT. So I would also want my therapeutic team to be specialized in that. I would like them to have more trainings on the 12-step recovery programs, which is my next point, is to create a 12-step recovery program for individuals. And those 12-step recovery programs would be dependent on the types of clients that we have. If they're predominantly Spanish, or if they're predominantly Chinese, or predominantly Arabic, I would want there to be a translator or someone on staff that is familiar within that language, so that would lessen the language barrier, and that would also decrease any type of misunderstandings between one and another. And then I would like to have family support groups. Now, within the family support groups, I would want the needs of the family members that are affected by their loved one's drug abuse. And I'll talk about that later. So our team, excuse me, the team is majority that I would like to add is on the medical side. So I would like to have an addiction psychiatrist, someone that is specifically familiar with all the drug addictions, all the medical needs that, if they're able to provide methadone or any of that, I would like to have someone that is an addiction psychiatrist, especially if the current situation of my community is that there is a lot of deaths through opioid abuse. I think there is an urgent need for there to be a medical intervention. Within that, I would want a family medicine physician, and that's really just to address just regular screenings within the client. I'll discuss later, but I think it's the best to have a family medicine physician so that we could see what's happening within the family if there is a need to screen them. I would want a psychologist. And then when I put director and supervisor, I really meant director and supervisors that are specialized in therapeutic, like CBT and our EBT and DBT, and family psychologists or family. I would want someone that is specialized to be and certified to supervise other clinicians that may be within the training of DBT and CBT and family therapy. I would incorporate social workers and mental health counselors that are probably already within the behavioral team, but I would want to add more depending on how many clients are really wanting to receive our services. I talked about specialized therapists. I want bilingual staff. Now, in New York City, there's so many ethnicities, so the more diverse our staff is, the better it is, in my opinion. And then I also want to incorporate interns. Now, I think internships is able to provide a culture of supervision, training, and being a student. And those that are being students are able to teach and just have that discipleship value within the program is really what I'm trying to say. So moving on, in corporate medicine, I want to, like just like I said with the addiction psychiatrist, um, we would need to incorporate medicine within our intervention, I believe. I put within the text just to let you know, and I don't know if this is true, but the Food and Drug Administration is approving medication only for treatment of alcohol dependent patients. Um, I don't know if that's true or not, but if that isn't, I would want my addiction psychiatrist to have methadone accessible, but then within the clinical team that they're a part of, I want those to be orally taken under the clinical supervision of the staff. I would need a staff to facilitate regular drug urine testing to confirm abstinence within all the other drugs. Um, I would want my client to just maintain a job for stability, and also to pay off the drug. And then within my program, I would also want my client to have one-on-one counseling as well as be a part of the 12-step program. And if my client has any family members, I would suggest that they would be a part of the family support groups. So to integrate treatment, just in the YouTube video that you showed, I think I made a typo. What I meant was that within the YouTube video that you sent me about co-occurring disorders, it was stated that 50% of those that have substance use disorders have mental health illness. So that could either be depression, anxiety, personality disorders, etc. Or schizophrenia, or schizoaffective disorder. So I think that's why there's such a great need to integrate the treatment, and I think that's why there's such a great need for both the medical team and the therapeutic team to be on the same page. We're integrating by the trainings that I mentioned before and the certifications. I think if the therapeutic team is able to be aware and educated on the medicine, it would be more of a benefit and a service for the whole staff and the whole program. And I think if both are able to assess, an ideal world, there wouldn't be any type of miscommunication or bumping of heads. And this is where the weekly meetings happen. Just as I was talking about that, so that the whole staff is going to be within the same page. They would need to have weekly meetings, and I think there needs to be weekly meetings within supervisions, especially if we're trying to implement certain types of therapies like CBT and DBT or family therapy. I think we would need supervisors in all those three different interventions that are accredited to be supervisors, and then to have a team that are certified to facilitate the type of therapy would be great as well. And then have the mental health counselors be a part of, and that just be like a trickle down teaching for the whole program. And then I put quarterly meetings. The reason why I'm putting quarterly meetings is because since this program is new, I would want to know what is effective that I'm doing and what is not effective. So the quarterly meetings would have any type of measurable goal within the program. So if the quarterly meetings would mean that within the clientele, we're able to reach a certain amount of clients, maybe 300 clients or 300 patients that are struggling with opioid disorder, that we would want within those 300 that are coming in to have maybe 150 of them be within already the group program or having one-on-one counseling. Or if we're able to even provide that amount and just see a quarterly meeting would be able to figure out the budgets and things like that as well. So I think that's why we're doing quarterly meetings, is just to see what is the need of the clients, the general public, and what can we do better for it. So For one-on-one counseling, I think what would be different between just a regular one-on-one counseling is the way that we would assess the client. So if someone is coming in with a drug dependent disorder, or is coming in because they either are mandated by court to get a physical, I think that the clinical team should be very much aware of any behavioral issues, and to have someone that's either a psychiatrist or able to diagnose the client to see if there's any severity, and anything that needs to be diagnosed within the client, and just to have a greater scope on the assessment. I think two heads are better than one. I don't know exactly how I would implement that assessment, but I definitely would want a person from the therapeutic team and a person from the medical team to be a part in the assessment, so that we would have a more holistic view of the client, and then from there we would be able to know the needs of the client and then create a team to fulfill that need, and then we would implement the plan. So for example, if I have a 40-year-old man that is mandated by court to come, he would need to have an assessment, but we would want to have an assessment on how his family is doing, who his family is. So for example, if my client is a 40-year-old man mandated by court, has a wife and two kids, the kids are 7 and 11, 4 years apart, what would we need to do for him to show to the court that he's progressing? Something needs to be measurable, right? So I think within that team, we would need someone, depending on the severity of his drug dependency, that he would probably need a psychiatrist if he wants to use methadone. He would need a family therapist to address his needs between his wife and his children. And depending if he has a psychological disorder or what have you, if he has a personality disorder, he may need DBT and have to be utilized that within our 12-step recovery program. Or he is dealing with anxiety, depression, and he needs to be with a therapist that specializes in depression and anxiety. Just those things, and then implement that plan and how that would look like. Would he have one-to-one counseling meetings, or would he be required to just do the 12-step recovery program? So it just all depends on the problem and the need of the client. So the 12-step recovery program is another one that one I want to incorporate. This was obviously initially used for AA alcohol disorder, but this program is shown to be helpful for those that are opioid dependent. So this is useful in assisting the clients to help develop their character and their self-esteem with one another. It also helps the program learn how to listen, the clients to listen and to respond. It also helps the clients be able to practice any relational problems that they may have. So it provides accountability and support. And then it helps those that have co-occurring disorders. If someone is dealing with depression and anxiety, being within a community and being connected to other people really helps their progression with opioid or any type of mental health illness. So strategically, what I would want with the 12-step recovery program and the one-on-one counseling to initially start in the clinic. So the reason why I'm saying to start in the clinic is to engage the crowd and the clients and what where they are and what they where we would need to meet them at. So we'd start at a clinic. I think it would ideally be at in towards the evening hours, since the assignment that was given to me is most of the people, they work. I think within that, so for example, if my clinic ideally would want to be by, I think in Queens, that's by any type of subway and bus. But depending on the need, we would probably either expand the group to have several different groups, or we would just like start first in our community and see if there's anyone that does need it. But my primary goal of this program is to touch all 5 boroughs. When I mean touch all 5 boroughs, that the 12-step recovery groups will be able to meet within the 5 boroughs, depending on where the client is working and depending on where the client lives. So this will be my last slide. This is to just address the families that are being affected by their loved one that is dependent on opioid or drug or other drugs. Now, so the family support system is very vital for the recovery of the client. And the point of having a support system is to help the family members reestablish proper boundaries towards the client as well, and to receive the support that they do need. And we do need family support systems so everyone could grow and progress holistically. But I had an idea of, within my small community, let's say if it's Queens and we're having an opioid drug abuse increase, I would think that the education system and the school system is very much aware of that, depending on who's being affected. But families in general are being affected. So I think if family members, adults, have opioid drug use disorder, I would want to partner with after-school programs. Now, I think this addresses the need of childcare. This addresses the need of finding a space large enough and having privacy. And I think this addresses the need for clients that work during the day and that have children. And I think this would be exclusively just for families, but it would be within the school and it would be open group to anyone that is within a family. So I think if we're able to partner with the after school program where while their child is within the after school program, the parent are able to receive the support that they need to discuss and decompress or share whatever they're going through with their spouse and within their families. So that is my last idea, and that is what I would do if I have my own addiction recovery program and given money to address the need of the opiate and drug related deaths within my community. So hopefully this is a good presentation, and hopefully you like it and you like this idea for your next independent study professor. Thank you so much for listening in, and thank you so much for meeting those 3 times, and I'm sorry again for being late this last session. And I just hope you have a good holiday and that you have a Merry Christmas and you get to spend time with your family well and you get to rest. So thank you so much.